Caroline, my darling, my love. Well, I don't know about you, my darling. I'm glad that we don't rent our home. But do you know what else?
No.
I'm glad we're not landlords either. It sounds like blooming hell. It really do. It's your turn to shut the door. Oh, it's got a leak, yes. Oh, crikey, the dog's going mad. Yeah, what I'm talking about, there's a new bill that's going through it. It's called the Renters Bill. No, it's not that kind of rent, no. We're talking about houses, these big things you live in. Yeah, well, some people do. Unfortunately, I can see many people going, well, besides in the tent how things are going, because quite frankly, it's not great, is it, darling?
No.
It's getting tough on people.
Very.
And people need somewhere to live. And with the cost of living crisis, but also the ever-increasing house prices, they're pretty much flatlined at the moment, but they're still way too high. They're crazy prices houses are these days. Now, I can remember in the olden days, my darling.
Yeah.
In the olden days. Can you remember your first house you bought? In the olden days.
Yes.
A long time ago it was. Crikey.
Yes.
I was a wee nipper then. And what way are we going?
That way.
Oh, we're going that way. Okay, we're going to the right today.
Apparently, there was a calf born. Jasmine saw a calf born as they were coming past.
Ooh, it was an afterbirth.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
Sounds disgusting. But yeah, when you first bought your house, your very first house.
Yes.
And how much was it?
17,500.
17,500
in 1982.
Oh God! But the interest rates were high, weren't they? Higher than what they are now.
15%.
15%. But the house was cheap.
Yes.
And when you look at inflation, property inflation and inflation, there's a disparity. Yeah. Now we've had house inflation, haven't we? Property inflation around 15% for how long now? Flippin' hell. Ever since Tories have got in.
So at least 13 years.
Yeah, and artificially kept the interest rates low. Boosting the property market. So we had like 15% property price increase. Way too high. Yet inflation, we aim at inflation around 2%, don't we? That's what we aim for.
Yeah.
So there's a disparity, but this has been going on for donkey's years. And it's just got more and more expensive to buy a house, to get yourself on the old property market.
We worked out the equivalent of buying that house nowadays, that house would only be 65,000.
Yeah.
But it's probably 250,000.
It would be about 250 now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like.
So it's disproportionate to what you're talking about, what the average wages are.
Yes.
On the basis of the average
to
wage.
what it was then to what it is now, the house would only be 65,000.
Yeah.
Which it's now 250.
So it's no surprise that we have both partners working full time instead of part time each, or maybe one partner work in the relationship. So so we can actually spend some quality time with our children and stuff. Like we did, not be funny, but you loved looking after the kids, didn't you?
Yeah.
You had little jobs and that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. But what we were working out earlier, that we were looking at how much it costs to rent a property, and this is just in Norwich, because obviously London and some areas are going to be a lot more expensive than this, and we're talking about 800 for a 2-bedroom flat, or about 1,000, 1,200 for a 3-bedroom terraced house or small house.
So it's not affordable.
If you think of people's wages, that's a huge chunk of their wages.
So people overstretching themselves by having to have big mortgages, but that's when the actual mortgage rate was low, the base rate was low. But now it's stabilised a bit at the moment, but it's still high. Now, if you're say for instance a landlord, now I'm going to be a bit of a devil's advocate here, because I've worked for landlords, and some were shit, and some were actually really good landlords. When jobs need doing, they did them because they saw the value in their property and they looked after their property and they looked after their tenants. But there's also some unscrupulous landlords. And because of these unscrupulous landlords is one of the reasons why this new bill's been put through. And it's going to ban no-fault evictions. Now, although I would hope a no-fault eviction would ever be necessary, but we are in some pretty turbulent times. Now, if for instance, put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say, for instance, we were a landlord, darling. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few scenarios actually we can talk about, aren't there?
Yeah.
But let's say, for instance, we bought a new house.
Yes.
And our old house, this house, for argument's sake, say if it was in England, and we rented that one out.
Yes.
All right, but we used that house as our collateral for a new house.
Yeah. So you'd be relying on the rent from the house.
From that house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's say if, for instance, our mortgage rate all of a sudden increased by a considerable amount of money.
Then we would have to put the rent up.
Well, you can't necessarily do that. What usually happens is, for a lot of these people, they either get rid of the property, sell it,
Yeah.
which means you need to, do a no-fault eviction.
Yeah.
So you got to get the person out. Understandably, I think that's understandable. If you're in a situation where you can be made homeless yourself.
I mean, that's not very fair, this ban and no-fault evictions, because that means if someone's in difficulty themselves and they're trying to sell, they need to sell that property, they can't get that person out.
I think there should be some kind of system in place that is checks and balances. So no-fault evictions aren't just being done for the purpose of getting rid of the tenant so you can put the rent up.
No, get another person in and put the rent up. But if it's because they're in difficulties and they need to sell it to support because that's not supporting them, or they need
two people are homeless.
Yeah.
Couldn't you? Two families could be homeless as a result.
Yeah. Well, a landlord, if they only have one house they're renting out, they could end up being homeless.
Just because you own a house, a second home, that happens to be rented out, don't mean to say it's necessarily got loads of equity in it.
No.
Might have no equity, might have just bought it.
Might have mortgage.
Yeah, a lot of people do like buy to rents, don't they?
Yeah.
I think it's a difficult one. It's quite hard. Could be shadow in my face.
I do feel sorry for the people who are renting the property as well. You've got to feel sorry for the people renting the property as well. Some of these have got families, or they've been there for a number of years, and then suddenly they've got to leave their property with not a lot of
God, I don't know how I feel about it. I think we need to. It's a complicated issue, but I think we need a system in place that actually covers all bases, because this is just going to screw people over. And I'll tell you what's happening at the moment is that landlords are, many landlords want to get out. They've had enough. They want to get out. They're going to pay their capital gains tax, which I think is a silly thing anyway, but capital gains tax, I'll explain why I say that for the land.
So they're sort of jumping the ship before it sinks.
They're jumping the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're putting it in before it's banned. Under this new bill, this new renters reform bill. So what we're going to do is have a huge amount of properties end up on the market. Those people renting that could buy them, they can't afford to buy them.
No.
They can't afford the mortgage.
Because if they could buy, they wouldn't be renting.
No, what will happen is they'll get repossessed. All the equity that they might have had in the property will get swallowed up by the bank.
Yeah.
They'll then end up on the market at a knockdown price, which if we do end up with a property crash, which I won't be a bit surprised that's where we're heading, they're going to be sold for a pittance. And who will buy them? It's not going to be Joe Bloggs. So this isn't going to push the prices of properties down for Joe Bloggs.
Or even small landlords.
It'll be people who've got the money, who can afford to spend the money now and sit on the property.
Yeah.
And probably do nothing with it until they have to.
God.
That's what happened. It happened last time. Half these, the bad landlords, many of the bad landlords who don't look after their property, they just sit as a cash cow. Many of them have got hundreds of properties. And many of them have got them in the hands of agents. And that's the worst scenario. The people I used to work with, Caroline, years ago, when we were looking after properties and that, my little building firm, the landlords that were the worst are the ones that were dealt with the agent. They put the properties in the hand, like we used to do a lot with Abbots.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And the
so
agents,
if they did it personally themselves, they tend to be a lot better.
Yeah. Now, when you've got, say, a landlord who's got 1, 2, maybe 3, or even 5 properties, they would look after them, do all the jobs on them. And even old Gotts, he had loads of properties. His was all social
But
rents.
he was quite good, wasn't he?
He always did the work that needs to be done. They're quite basic properties, don't get me wrong. There's no frills, nothing fancy about them. They just had to fit the criteria for the council. So that was his remit. He loved it because he was always guaranteed his money.
I know. Was it down
Daniel Gotz's.
Yeah, they used to have a lot of flats, didn't they, in Cromer, and they used to like people on benefits, didn't they, because they got paid directly into that.
Yeah,
They don't do it like that.
He had to jump. Don't do it like anymore.
No, you get a choice. You can do it like that, or you can pay it yourself, which isn't a really good thing.
No,
Because people haven't got a lot of money, and they get the option to pay it themselves. They tend to buy their food and other stuff before they pay it.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure some people will. There were some people who clearly struggled, and they're just ordinary folk, hard-working folk. They can't seem to get themselves a good job, or maybe they ain't got the education to do so, or whatever. And they're good people. But then, Caroline, oh my giddy aunt, some of the people in this accommodation, some people are going to slate me for this, but the fact of the matter is, Caroline, some of them are just, you would not want them in your house.
No.
I mean, I had one instance where I had to go in, this was Gots actually, one instance I had to go into property and there was dog crap everywhere. The radiators were ripped off the walls, literally just bent all pipes, this on the floor, pulled off the brackets and bent over. So water was leaking everywhere, black water. And then in the bathroom, right, it was a small bathroom with a shower above it and stuff like that, it was full of dog poo. Not full to the top of it, but there's dog poo everywhere. Oh. And the door...
Did you have to clear that up?
No, luckily I had to do the roof. That wasn't my job. Anyway, the door where the dog's obviously been chucked in this little bathroom was all clawed and holes in it and stuff like that. I imagine it was a big dog.
I mean, that's only going to be a low percentage of people like that.
It is that I saw quite, because of the type of properties and the tenants that's aimed at there's a lot of druggies, Cabell Road and Great Yarmouth and places like that, which used to be really posh townhouses. I mean, they were lovely at one time, but then the Gotzes got hold of them. If Bob Gotts is listening to this, if he's still alive, I imagine he is. He should be still alive, shouldn't he? He'd be an old man now.
Daniel might.
No, Daniel's still about. I know Danny's still about. But anyway, if you're watching this, Cabell Road used to be a lovely road years ago. And one side of the road is still rather posh, and the other side, I'm really snobby though, I'm no snob, believe you, I'm a builder, but the other side was just, oh my God, that was full of druggies and stuff. That was rough. I mean, that was really rough. And don't get me wrong, you know, you can be with no money, but you don't need to be,
yeah.
You don't need to be like that. I understand people fall on hard times and stuff, obviously. Some of it's just I don't get that.
To people then difficulties for people getting housing.
Yeah.
I read in the paper today that says there's 131,000 children homeless, which mean in temporary accommodation, like hotels and
children.
Yeah.
Have they lost them?
No, they haven't lost.
They haven't. So they lost about 20 odd, didn't they? Refugees.
No, they're paid families, but with children, and these children are in like temporary accommodation.
Yeah.
There's one family, he had a 5-week-old baby and a 17-month-old, and he was working full time. He's an engineer, but he just couldn't earn enough money to pay rent.
Well, can you wonder at it though? Because the rents have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
You looked at rents this morning, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's curiosity, weren't you? That's funny. I'm doing a video about it.
This poor bloke has been living for quite a while in a little tiny hotel room with a toilet, a microwave, a kettle, and a tiny mini fridge with a toddler and a newborn baby.
People shouldn't have to live like that.
And he works full time. He's an engineer.
No matter what card you've been, obviously he's probably earning fairly good money.
Yeah.
But the rents are just out. You worked out. What did you say it was for renting a 3-bedroom house?
I did. I said between 1,000 and 1,200. And this is in Norwich, and Norwich is quite a low rent area.
Hang on, where was that? Was that on?
Right move.
No, wait, what road was that?
Oh, Ketts Hill, one of them.
Oh, Ketts Hill. Actually, somebody, Tiger Pie, is it Tiger Pie or Tiger, what's that, is on here. He lives at the top of Ketts Hill.
Oh, right, that was Ketts Hill. There was a 3-bedroom terrace there.
Tiger.
I think about 1,100 a month. Just a 3-bedroom terrace. You need at least 1,000, and that's just to get something really basic, and you're lucky if you get it. There weren't many available at that price. And just to get a 2-bedroom flat was about 700, 800, 750 to 800.
But what? No, he's eating poo.
Oh no!
Why do they do that? Quick! No! Oh no! Don't eat poo. It's horrible. Lick my face next. Oh, come on, this is all sheep poo. Move.
But obviously, with a newborn baby and a 17-month-old, that you know that you can't. It's impossible for the person to work, isn't it? Childcare for 2 children will take all your money.
That's a good point, actually, Caroline.
Childcare for 2 children will take all your money.
You're working for nothing anyway.
You would be.
You can kind of do you know what? When people who are, they say to themselves, well, it's cheaper for me to be on the dole, you know what I mean, be unemployed, but what do they call it now? Job seekers, isn't it? Job seekers.
Yeah, well, our oldest daughter says that because for a long while she's been a 1-parent family with 2 children and she's worked full time, and she's not on minimum wage. She's actually has quite a decent job.
Yeah.
But you know, she sometimes say, I wouldn't be much worse off, you know, if I didn't work.
Well, that's the thing. So you can understand why some people say, well, why would I? Yeah, is this job got any kind of prospects? Am I doing this job because of? It's like if you're a nurse or something like that, or a doctor, or actually maybe not, if you're striking.
It's even nurses. If they was just 2 nurses that, you know, married and like that, they probably wouldn't earn enough money to get a.
Do you know what though, Caroline? I think the litmus paper here is the fact we've got food banks. That's the litmus paper. Everything's just too expensive, and when people have to go and use food banks, that surely is a signal to tell us that there's something seriously wrong with the amount of money people have coming into their home and the amount of money that's going out. Now, if you're a renter, for instance, how the hell are you going to manage those rents when you're saying it's like 1,200 quid for a 3-bedroom house?
Well, even if you think it's 1,000 a month, it's 12,000 a year plus another 2,000 for the council tax. Yeah. It's 14,000 of your money is just going on paying the rent and the mortgage and the rent and the council tax.
The other thing is, Caroline,
that's without paying the gas, electric, water, telephone, all that blah blah blah.
That's a good point. And the other thing, Caroline, you remember before we moved over here, we rented for 6 months.
We did. How much was that? I can't remember.
That was 900 a month.
Yeah.
But there's a big but here, okay? This would be when was this? 2009?
9, yeah.
Well, we rented for 6 months while we were getting stuff sorted out too. Yeah. We sold the house, you see.
That weren't a smallish house, though, was it?
No, that's the thing. That's what was going to be my point. There's a large townhouse, Funter Lane. Funter Lane? On Funter Lane.
Yes.
Yeah, on Funter Lane.
In a good area.
And it was a good area. It was near River Green.
Semi-detached or?
Semi-detached. But we went for that actually because it was actually one of the most for what we needed, because I had to store a lot of stuff, you see, as well. Equipment and stuff.
That had a big double garage that had a nice sized garden and drive.
Well, it was either that or renting some more garages, because I was renting garages as well to store my gear, my tools and stuff.
It also had a lounge, a dining room, a kitchen and a conservatory downstairs, didn't it? And 3 double bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So that was not tinsy.
Yeah, but there's not a comparison to some of the other properties that we could have rented. That they needed a lot of work.
We could have done.
I went right through it.
We could have done 600-700, couldn't we?
Yeah. You're never going to get a house like that for 600. It's double that now.
Yeah.
And if you think of 15% property price increases, property price inflation, that over the last several years, that is a considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
That's 15 grand on every 100.
Yeah.
Every single year. That's a lot. That's a huge markup on your money for doing nothing. And that's the other thing I suppose you've got to remember. Some of the landlords will have a lot of equity, which means if, for instance, they have they're forced to sell the property on. Let's say, for argument's sake, let's say, for instance, you're a landlord, yeah, right, and you've got a property, and it's a bit of a bad property, yeah, bad roof, or needs a lot of money spent on it. So so it fits in with your it's a bit of rentable property. And you decide to move it on, to shift it on. Let it be someone else's problem. Let them spend the money on. Well, if you sell that property, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax on that, which might mean you won't have enough money to actually invest in the next property. So I think that needs to be reformed in the sense that when the capital gains can be diverted to the next property or something. Do you know what I mean? You're right. Do you understand what I mean, Dan? So it gives you the opportunity, if you are sort of buy to rent landlord.
Yeah.
So you're buying more or buying loads of properties.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, what's the incentive?
I think that's why some people buy the property, live in it a couple of years, and then sell it on.
No, but you can only do that if you're actually living in it, Caroline. If that's your one property.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, I'm talking about if you. See, I know one guy. What he actually good point. Actually, one person I know did that. They had I think they had 2 or 3 properties. I think they had. They didn't have many. They had many properties anyway. So what they did is the house they were living in, they moved out of that and moved into the one they were going to sell. And they got away with it. But it depends on how you buy the property as well, Carol. If you buy it under a company and not as a personal asset.
Yeah.
If it's a personal asset, you can probably get away with it.
Yeah.
But if it's bought as
a limited company.
Yeah, for a limited company, for instance, that's going to be capital gains, isn't it? I'm sure. If anyone knows if I'm wrong on that, let me know.
No, we're not experts.
No, we're not experts on it. I'm just looking at scenarios. Somebody on James Bond says scenarios.
But it's just that, in a way, we feel sorry for both. We feel sorry for the landlords, and we feel sorry for the people renting.
Do you think sometimes when you strive for the good, can be the enemy of the good?
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like on face of it, it's like getting rid of article. Yeah, they felt conviction. Ouch. Evictions, not convictions. Evictions. For in some instances, though, it's I think shoot yourself in the foot. I think we're going to get more properties that are all of a sudden up the market quite rapidly. The next few months, because, like you said, they're trying to jump ship.
So, do you think there's could be a lot in the?
I think a lot of properties. There's going to be a lot of them. There's going to be a lot of people made homeless quite quickly.
And also,
it takes 2 months.
Quite quickly, because otherwise they're going to lose a lot of money in the property. Because that was saying property could come down by 25%. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's what I read.
But it could do. Yeah. Especially if you get a property crash. The rent mortgages are too expensive. Who can afford them? And if you bought property in the last 10 years, you bought it with a market high, and the properties are too expensive. Like you were saying, the average prices of properties back when you bought your first house were low.
Yeah.
Equivalent
to
equivalent to what the actual mortgage rate is.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 times more expensive now. But let's say another
5 times more.
5 times, yeah. But if you think, for instance, in relation to what obviously the minimum wages and stuff, they're well out of pocket.
Yeah, well,
minimum wage. The average wage.
That was what we did. We looked at the average wage then and the average house and the same now.
Yeah.
And your property should only be 65,000.
See, the other thing, what about Brendan and Tonya?
Oh God, yeah, we had friends, didn't we, who lived here.
Well, they had friends because they moved away. But anyway, they probably moved away because of us, do you reckon?
Hey?
Did they move away because of us? Anyway, they had a flat in London. They lived in France in their mother-in-law's house, didn't they?
Yeah, then they were trying to buy their own.
They're trying to buy their own house, but they got a flat in London for which they wanted to sell, but they were renting it out. The tenant was advised by the council to stay put, otherwise they won't get a council property as like an emergency kind of situation. So they were told to stay put. So Brendan and his missus had to get a barrister involved, and it cost them 20 grand. They're not rich people. They had to sell the house because they wanted to buy a house here. They had to have somewhere to live with their kids.
That was 20,000 of their profit to buy another house here.
Yeah, lucky houses, they were cheap. But so not all landlords are unscrupulous. I think that's the point, isn't it? And they all get a bad rep.
Very nice people.
I see it so much. Yeah, I know. But yes, Carol, when you look at the comments on some of these, not just videos, but articles and some of these papers, it's like the landlords, just because they're a landlord, they're evil. Sometimes people are renting properties out because maybe they're going on a world tour. If you're lucky, or maybe they're working abroad. Maybe they're in the armed forces.
My aunt and uncle.
For all sorts of reasons.
My aunt and uncle bought one over here, but they're living now, and they're renting it out while they were living in Spain, knowing that when they got older they'd be moving back here. So it was rented out like, I don't know, 10 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the real people to blame here is consecutive governments, especially this Tory lot, not doing their job. You know, not looking after the tenants over many years. You can't just shock them. I think sometimes, like political correctness and all that, sometimes it's the enemy of the good. And you got, you know, we can go all political correct. I'm not going to say woke because I think that's a ridiculous term. That's been bastardised. But oh God, what's Wally doing?
What's he doing?
He started doing that again. He's getting all frisky again. Where's he getting all frisky? He stopped doing it for ages.
I don't know. Oh. He's feeling good.
Oh, is he feeling good? Is he?
You're feeling good.
Oh.
That's what happens when you feel good.
Yeah, so I don't know you, darling. I'm quite glad we're not a renter. I'm quite glad that we're not actually landlords either, especially if it had a mortgage on it. Especially if you owned the property, it'd be different, wouldn't it? Mm. So that's the people who are going to be, you know, still okay. They'll just wait, as in like the rich people.
But there again, even if you own it outright, that might be then you might have two houses, and that might be your income, what you live on for the month.
Also, it could be your pension.
Yeah.
You might have invested your pension money into a property.
Yeah.
Or why would you know what I mean?
Even like that.
So that means at some point you've got to sell it, aren't you? Or use to rent.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm going in.
Oh, you really?
To say goodbye.
Just say goodbye. Look at the sky. Look at the best. You can clear the best up, darling.
Have a lovely day.
Ta-ta. Well, I suppose I better get myself sorted out, darling. You know, a big chalk down there. Kids are going to scribbling on concrete. Yeah. Anyway, I would say it's time for us to go. Are you coming, my Dora? Come on, baby girl. There she comes. So, tell me what you think on that. Do you think that obviously some landlords are unscrupulous and horrible pieces of work? Some of them are just like Joe Bloggs, just trying to pay their way, I suppose.
Have I lost one?
I got Dora and I got a spare Wally.
Where's Bear?
I don't know. We lost a dog. How can we lose a dog? Have you put the gate across and lost the dog?
Through?
Oh, you came through? Okay. By the way, I've got a crazy person here as well. Yeah. I think we're having to committed. She's in there, look. See her? That's a crazy person. Oh my God, there's another one! Two crazy people! Oh my giddy aunt, look at them! Oh, I want to throw tomatoes at it! Can I throw tomatoes at it? Huh? I made you. How do I do that? Explain. Plasticine or Play-Doh? Anyway, it's time for us to go, so I'm so tired, you know. Hear the birds. Anyway, if you want to support Jan, do it on Patreon and buy us a coffee and the links are down below. Oh my God, the birds will come out now. Oh, thank me, darling. Just give me a microphone. Walk, Corn Olsen, come in, Olsen. Oh my God, yeah. Someone let her out. Someone let her out. Oh, we go for the dog flap, that's all right. We haven't lost a dog. Okay. We've locked them all. That's a good sign. So the birds everywhere. Yeah, okay, just do it. Patreon or buy us a coffee and links down below. And it is very much appreciated, it really, really is. Couldn't do this channel without it, definitely not. I'm sorry, especially when you've got a sore throat. Ooh, got to buy lozenges. That's it, got to buy lozenges. Anyway, I did say Tom, I just want to show you this. Look at what I picked up. Do you think that's, can I fix it? I thought, look, I pulled that out of the river. How old is that? It must be 60 or 1960s, you reckon, something like that? So it's probably about 60 odd years old. What's the label on the front? Oh, it's French. It's a Merbecaine or something, I think. I don't know. Anyway. Ta-ta. Anyway, please comment down below. Yeah. So do you read the comments, yeah? Okay, ta-ta.